Commander Vox stood rigid, his forearms locked in the military position of alertness as he observed the humans through the embassy's reinforced observation glass. His exoskeleton clicked nervously as he leaned toward his second-in-command. "This cannot be right," he muttered, compound eyes widening. "They're consuming capsaicin extract for pleasure." Lieutenant Crix adjusted the sensitivity on his thermal goggles. "Confirmed, sir. The substance they're applying to their sustenance would cause severe neurological damage to any species in the Galactic Alliance. Our scientists calculate it's approximately 200 times more potent than our strongest military-grade deterrent sprays." The delegation of warriors from the Taraxian Empire had arrived on Earth expecting to find weaklings. After all, humans came from a planet classified as Death World Class 3. High gravity, extreme temperature variations, and atmospheric composition that would be toxic to most spacefaring races. Such harsh conditions should have produced frail, timid creatures desperate for protection from stronger species. Instead, they'd found this. Beyond the observation window, a human festival called a hot sauce competition was underway. Dozens of humans crowded around various tables, willingly consuming foods laced with concentrated capsaicin, extracts so powerful that even a single drop released into the Taraxian atmosphere would trigger a planetary evacuation protocol. "That one there," Crix pointed with a trembling appendage. "That's their youngest warrior class. They call them teenagers." A young human male was downing spoonful after spoonful of something labeled Soul Reaper, 9 million Scoville units. His face had turned bright red, sweat poured from his skin, and yet he continued voluntarily, even as his companions cheered him on. "They're torturing their young as entertainment?" Vox's mandibles clicked in alarm. "No, sir. This is recreation. The chemical triggers their pain receptors, but they consume it deliberately, for fun." Commander Vox had led campaigns against the most feared predator species in 3 galactic quadrants. His exoskeleton bore the scars of 17 major conflicts. But watching these soft-skinned creatures willingly ingest what would be considered a weapon of mass destruction on his homeworld made his carapace feel suddenly very thin. Sam wiped the tears from his eyes, gulping down milk to soothe the burning sensation. "Another round," he called out, high-fiving his friend Tom. "Dude, you're insane," Tom laughed, reaching for the next bottle of hot sauce. "This one's called Supernova. The guy who makes it has to wear a hazmat suit." Neither of them noticed the delegation of alien warriors observing from behind the mirrored glass. Earth had only joined the Galactic Alliance 3 months ago, and these cultural exchange events were meant to build mutual understanding. "The biological implications are staggering," muttered Dr. Nexus, the science officer attached to the Taraxian delegation. "Their evolutionary history suggests they began consuming these caustic compounds as antimicrobial protection for their food, but then developed neural pathways that rewarded the pain with pleasure responses." Commander Vox couldn't tear his gaze away from a human female, now sampling something called plutonium paste that glowed an unnatural green. "How is this possible?" "It gets worse, sir," Lieutenant Crix reported, consulting his datapad. "They consume other substances that would be immediately fatal to us. Fermented grain alcohol that would dissolve our sensory organs, dairy products containing controlled bacterial cultures, and something called pop rocks that causes small explosions inside their oral cavities. For entertainment? Yes, sir. The young ones appear to find the sensation particularly amusing." One of the junior officers, witnessing his first human gathering, suddenly backed away from the window. "Commander, please tell me our battle plans accounted for this." Commander Vox couldn't answer. The invasion plans the Taraxian High Command had provided now seemed laughably inadequate. These creatures voluntarily consumed pain as a social activity. What could possibly intimidate them on the battlefield? Ambassador Rel, Earth's diplomatic liaison to the Taraxians, approached the observation room with a tray of samples. "Gentlemen, I thought you might like to try some of our culinary specialties. Very mild ones, of course, adjusted for your physiologies." The Taraxian warriors, elite troops selected from thousands for this first contact mission, each took an involuntary step backward. "That's Most generous, Commander Vox managed, even as his toxin detection glands swelled in alarm. Perhaps another time. Ambassador Rel nodded understandingly. Of course. We've found that most species need time to adjust to our palate. She glanced at the competition beyond the glass, where a human was now chugging directly from a bottle labeled with cartoon skulls and warning symbols. Perhaps you prefer to observe our dessert-eating competition next week. Ice cream is much less intimidating. Ice cream? Lieutenant Crix asked cautiously. Yes, frozen dairy products kept at temperatures that would cause immediate tissue damage to exposed skin. We eat it for pleasure, especially on hot days. The brain freeze is part of the fun. All four of Commander Vox's limbs twitched at once. Brain freeze? Oh, it's when you eat it too fast and it causes sharp pain in your cranium, she explained cheerfully. Children especially love the sensation. As the ambassador departed, Commander Vox gathered his shaken officers. Their invasion fleet of 300 warships suddenly seemed woefully insufficient. Send word to the High Command, he ordered quietly. The mission parameters have changed. Recommend immediate peace treaty. Lieutenant Crix glanced back at the humans, who were now competing to see who could tolerate the most pain from something called the end of the universe sauce. And sir, request permission to include in the report that any species that eats pain for fun is not one we wish to fight. Commander Vox nodded grimly as the sound of human laughter, punctuated by cries of agonized pleasure, echoed from beyond the glass. Permission granted, and may the stars have mercy on any fool who tries to conquer this death world.